Welcome everyone. I'm Richard Fowler with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. I'd like to welcome you to the US DOE 2021 Summer Seminar Series. Today we have a great one-hour discussion-based seminar that will address the evolution of commercial building design and construction. Looking ahead, we have two more events in this series, Equity and Codes and Zoning and Land Use Regulation. This seminar series is hosted every other Thursday, so we hope you will join us for one or both of these upcoming events. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today. We are very excited to have the past president of ASHRAE, Charles Gullidge, join us. Chuck was the ASHRAE president from 2020 to 2021. He previously served on the ASHRAE Board of Directors as president-elect, treasurer, vice president, and director at large. He is the recipient of many ASHRAE awards, including the Exceptional Service Award, the Distinguished Service Award, Chapter Service Award, Regional Award of Merit, 2 ASHRAE Technology Awards, and the Dan Mills Technology Award. In addition to his time served on the Board of Directors, Chuck has served as chair of the Members Council and the President-elect Advisory Committee, chair of the Finance Committee, chair of the Standards Membership Ad Hoc Committee, chair of the Development Committee for Fundraising, and as an ASHRAE Distinguished Lecturer. I could go on, but that would take time away from what he has to offer to you. So I'll go ahead and turn things over to Chuck. Welcome.
Richard, thank you. And thank you for posting a very young picture of myself. Great. So let me move these things away. And without further ado, take a journey with me. I'm going to tell you a story. I love to talk, and I want you to join me on a journey. My grandfather, an immigrant from Italy, was the consummate engineer, machinist, and farmer. He taught me how things were built. He taught me how to farm the land and put food on the table. Working beside my grandparents over many summers provided a bounty of lessons. One of those was the natural progression of work, particularly work on the land. Plow, soil must be prepared and configured. Plant, the seed we sow turns into the crop that grows. Maintain, what we grow needs continuous attention. And harvest, you reap what you sow. I learned early on that you can't cheat the natural process. There is no harvest without plowing, planting, and maintaining. Engineering and construction E&C is a lot like farming when you think about it. Plow, preparation requires assembling the correct team. Plant, the outcome we desire needs a well-defined path. Maintain, continuous improvement is implemented to drive value. And harvest, built solutions that exceed expectations are delivered. Yes, the E&C process is no different than nature's own. We can't cheat this natural flow. But let's pause for a moment and ask why. Why should we care about plowing, planting, and maintaining within the building ecosystem? Here's why. With the expansion of the digital world, we can differentiate ourselves from our competition, identify ourselves as the innovators, improve our profit margins, attract and retain a digitally savvy workforce, deliver value, optimize building performance, and mitigate environmental footprint. Our evolution to lean and digital maturity can deliver this harvest and so much more. Alas, every journey does have a starting point. And in the words of Maya Angelou, who I love, if you don't know where you come from, you surely do not know where you're going. So before we explore the digital path, let's reflect on our current industry state. And let's be candid. Let's start by considering how poorly we have managed our crops. I think a busted face and bypass steam coil provides a good starting point. Why are we still burdened in this industry with marginal yields? Well, first, our current workflows are ripe with waste. It is estimated that in the US alone, $177 billion is lost annually on non-productive labor activities. Looking for information, engaging in conflict resolution, dealing with mistakes and performing rework. These all impact the bottom line. $31 billion of this loss is directly associated with poor data and communication. Poor in this context is inaccurate, inaccessible, and incompatible. Look at this from a comparison of the manufacturing sector with the construction world. Waste is high, value is low. Waste in the solution delivery context has a direct impact on building performance. When optimization is not achieved, performance waste is embodied in the shortcomings. Second, E&C is a flat ecosystem. Data reflects that we are not very productive. Sadly, our annual productivity growth has only increased 1% over the past 2 decades. Stagnation is costly. Look at these trends comparing construction to the total economy and manufacturing. We are relatively flat. Look at the orange line. What if I presented this in a global perspective? McKinsey shows us that the U.S. construction market is a declining leader. Look at this from another perspective. Stagnation also reveals a paucity of integrated high-performance solutions that are more sustainable, use less energy, and optimize holistic building environmental footprint. We are behind. Third, our ecosystem remains one of the least digitized sectors in the world. Look at us, low and left. This is not a good place to be. To compound this shortcoming, FMI suggests that up to 95% of data that is collected goes unused. We allow knowledge to go dark. Dark knowledge becomes lost knowledge. This lost knowledge is vital to building resource management. Fourth, our logistics are poor. Our projects are late and they're over budget. Finally, it is fair to say that we remain shackled to the analog age. Over many decades, we have perfected the dance of the silos. Risk and liability keep us from optimizing the whole. We protect our borders from the impact of others. We have so many touch points. We manually collect, review, and transfer data. We continuously recreate knowledge. We rarely consider cost and schedule as inputs to design. Rather, we delete scope when bids are over budget. We rely on paper for everything. Paper consumes time. We focus on the silos of prescriptive normative minimum. The whole is not optimized. We attempt to build something, looking across static drawings of, let's face it, variable quality from multiple players. Work results get executed by who arrives first in the space. This is the world we know. We excel at fragmentation and the weeds of waste. But let's look at our current state from another perspective. And we seem to lose track of this. What do owners want their harvest to be? They want us, all of us in this industry, they want us to do the following: resolve issues virtually before they come physical, reduce the level of unknowns and eliminate the need for RFIs, provide better cost schedule certainty, improve closeout, deliver a complete knowledge base, develop holistic, optimized solutions that minimize environmental footprint, and deliver something that works. I dare say these are not onerous expectations. Somehow, our industry has managed to lose track of the harvest. How do we change course and alter these conditions of satisfaction? Well, I'm going to tell you, but before we outline the path, let's reflect on our processes. The conventional delivery process, CDP, is characterized as a linear process of sequential response by all project team members. The project builds on previous decisions, regardless of whether or not optimal foundation work is established for the next layer of development. In effect, CDP is similar to making sausage. We just cram it down the system. Look at this sequential linearity from a common understanding perspective. The timing of when people get involved and then the understanding of what it was you were trying to do. It's a horrible system. AIA does a wonderful job of capturing this in a sequencing of what, how, who, and then realize. But look at the staggered nature of the engagement of the team players. Conventional CDP is all about command and control, transactions, and start to finish thought. Individual risk and liability concerns foster a work environment that does not empower project participants to collaborate. Instead of optimizing interdependencies, we protect against interdependent shortcomings. The sequential nature of CDP precludes collaborative input and hampers optimized development of the project. There's a better way. But like CDP, the integrated delivery process, or IDP, delivers a semi-linear phase progression. Instead of building on sequential response decisions, though, workflow is altered to include iterative loops. Previous decisions are challenged in an effort to find optimized solutions that fit within the project guidance. Instead of making sausage in isolation, we seek continuous improvement by making pretzels. Look at how common understanding changes when all stakeholders are engaged in inception. We understand what it is we're trying to accomplish, and we're doing it early on. AI has another way of capturing that. Note specifically what we showed before with the what, how, who, realize progression now morphs to what, who, how, realize. This is a vital element of IDP implementation of the collaborative team concept, with more inclusive roles and altered participation timing. Command and control yields to relational. Transactional is replaced by collaboration, and start to finish mindset evolves to lean and the pursuit of value. Collaboration fosters solution delivery of integrated systems that, in aggregate, form a holistic building. Perspective shifts from isolated stakeholder interests to one of optimized interdependencies and group accountability. CDP can promote a less than desirable dynamic referred to as delivery in isolation. Isolation refers to the potential for work to proceed without collaborative knowledge of what the other stakeholders are doing. This phenomenon is demonstrated by our adherence to linear hierarchy role management. We see our first example of linearity in the basic tripartite relationship between the owner, contractor, and designer. A contractual disconnect exists between the design and construction paths when employing a design bid build model. In effect, we create a collaborative development wall from the outset between design and construction interests. IDP shifts the structure and mindset of the conventional tripartite relationship pyramid to one of shared outcome. Conceptually, the overlap of the tripartite interests represents the zone of integration. Silos and hierarchy yield to collaborative intelligence. AIA does a very good job of summarizing the CDP versus IDP paths for us in simple terms. And just look at the highlights of the red bad, green good scenario: fragmented, integrated, linear, concurrent, individual, collective, individual, value-based, paper-based, digital-based, no sharing. I forgot to highlight one, but basically risk sharing is involved. So that's foundation work. Let's really talk about the future of work. Improving our harvest begins with altering our view on the execution of work itself. For many of us, work is a place to go perform tasks. We go to work, we work on a project, finish work for the day, and we go home. Our path to fragmentation began many decades ago when the Let's face it, the assembly line's siloed work, the progression through industries 2.0 and 3.0 refined work task. Over time, we have systematically built our own silos. What is the work that really needs to be done? What if work itself was redefined? What if we shifted from task to higher value activities? Prepare yourself. A new vision of human engagement awaits. Work, workforce, and workplace. Imagine a world where we break down work silos and become one integrated force. Collaboration will engage all stakeholders at inception to find value. Digital intelligence will amplify human intelligence. We will be relieved of the exhaustive and repetitive. We will become more analytical and strategic. Building performance will evolve to real-time management. Static points in time will fade away. Projects will move from disconnected paper to connected platforms. We will evolve from intent to build to building virtually. The cloud will facilitate contribution from anywhere in the world at any time by anybody. Digital precision will challenge where physical work actually occurs. In the field will no longer be the only place for work results to play out. In 3 steps, un, deux, trois, I speak French, we can make this our new reality. Step 1, and you may recognize the famous McElhammy curves. Step 1 of our transformation requires proper preparation via lean collaboration. Preparation must always keep value discovery in focus. Beneficial impact is best realized when captured early. Effort that occurs later in development has minimal opportunity to impact value, and changes become very expensive. Lean processes create better customer experiences. Our ecosystem needs to adopt a lesson from manufacturing. That which does not add value is waste. It's pure waste. But how do we uncover value? 6 principles of lean illuminate our path. Respect for people is the core fundamental. We must evolve to value stakeholders and their knowledge, solve the issues and stop blaming the participants, and honor our commitments to the team. We must look beyond the borders to optimize the whole. We really have to define what customer value means. What do they want? How do they want it? And what are they willing to pay to get it? We must map the value stream to identify and remove waste, wasteful practices, wasteful solutions, wasteful operations. We must map the value stream. Execution of Lean IPD requires new perspective for all of us. Consider, there's only one narrative. Risk and reward are shared, and decisions are value-based. In all phases, nothing is done until it should be done. And yes, design is no exception to this rule. I will never forget my first visit to what we call the big room. And yes, that's me with a little big belly right there. My comfort zone was attacked. I'm an engineer. I like order. I like things in order. My comfort zone was attacked. My understanding of order was threatened. I was in a new world. Project success wasn't prescripted. Humans reached across borders to define what the harvest should be. We became the operative word. How are we going to deliver this as a team? Flow was no longer associated with fluid transport. How could this be? I'm an engineer. There's got to be a pump, some water's got to move. Flow had a far more important role to play. And just for good measure, flow didn't start at the headwaters and move outbound. Oh no, not that simple. Flow started at the vision of a built solution and backed up to understand the path that needed to be traveled, a path that revealed how the project would be delivered, what the order of events needed to be, and who owned the commitments along that path. And finally, we must demonstrate continuous improvement along this path. That is lean collaboration. So proper preparation will reveal all aspects of planting the correct crop. How we maintain that crop defines how bountiful our harvest will be. Step 2, requires embracing digital technology. Transformation, though, is not simply associated with adopting new technology, buying the latest software. Knowledge needs to be captured and linked. It's all about knowledge. So let's explore critical aspects of managing this process and what opportunities the digital landscape affords us. Digital technology is creating vast amounts of data. We are literally swimming in data. We must figure out a way to connect all of this knowledge. The evolution of the common data environment, CDE, is warranted to manage information. A single source, single truth, lighthouse. The CDE platform sets the table for all portable project knowledge. Connected knowledge affords interconnection, which paves the way for grid interactive buildings and resilient communities. Virtual design and construction, or VDC for short, is a process that moves us from static drawings to 7D BIM models. We are making the transition from static geometry to dynamic information. Remember when we shifted from paper to CAD? Well, the shift from CAD to digital models is going to be just as disruptive. But intelligent objects contain knowledge. Changing an object anywhere becomes an integrated change everywhere. Our use of a 7D platform will verify constructability, reveal time, capture economy, integrate performance modeling, and connect operations and maintenance. Printed documents, this is a very important point. Printed documents will no longer be the primary representation of our projects. The model becomes the database of all project knowledge. Generative design is a fascinating concept. Picture utilizing an augmented strategy to automate design development. Algorithms can test hundreds of variables in thousands of iterations. Humans still define the boundaries and goals, but software handles comparison. You are watching a simple example of algorithms being used to optimize daylighting solutions. Let the computer and the people that can write algorithms do our work. I still remember the countless hours that performance modeling used to require. Yes, drawings had to be measured by hand to capture geometry. Elements had to be found on details or buried in the spec book. Systems had to be manually configured in singular fashion. One change, just one change, required a complete redo of the entire simulation. Those days are behind us now. Objective-based integrated building design is at our fingertips. Airflow patterns are vital. Simple throw patterns and arrows on 2D drawings do not reveal truth. What doors would open to us if we had insight into how air should act? Tools such as computational fluid dynamics, CFD, allow us to visualize thermal impact, understand the path of air, compare ventilation strategies, simulate thermal comfort, and demonstrate ventilation effectiveness. By connecting sensors to a digital platform, we can create a virtual mirror of our physical asset. This digital twin allows us to embark on a continuous journey. We collect real-time performance data, provide an evolving profile of past and current behavior, employ analytics to mine the data lake, searching for trends and patterns and all that metadata, and then identify actionable intelligence. And we just keep repeating the cycle. Now consider what the power of this insight yields. For commissioning, we have a connected tool for tuning performance 24/7. For building performance itself, we have a robust engine that monitors and optimizes real-time facility resource impact. For operations, we transition from reactive to predictive response. For R&D, we have real-world information that supports validation of our performative simulations. I have to make a plug for ASHRAE, and I'm very excited to announce that the new ASHRAE headquarters is going to have a digital twin to support effective building operations. And you've been watching the genesis of our ASHRAE digital twin unfold in this segment. Drones provide invaluable support logistics. Construction aerial mapping can capture all site and infrastructure content. Construction monitoring is available at any elevation. We are no longer tethered to ladders, lifts, and safety harnesses to view the project. Thermal mapping can be performed around an entire building envelope. This technology was used to evaluate the as-built integrity of ASHRAE's new renovation headquarters. Thermography provided the insight needed to modify the existing envelope of a 1970s era building for high performance. Think of all the energy that can be saved via revitalization of existing building assets at scale. We can identify thermal weakness. We can correct root cause waste. Scanning via light detection and ranging, or LiDAR, delivers precise point cloud maps of surfaces and complex geometries. We can scan densely packed settings to capture true as-built conditions. We no longer need to search for paper and attempt to recreate what was built. Manual measurements, pulling the tape measures, is eliminated. Waste is removed. Scan point clouds can be integrated to our digital models. Technology captures the truth. Augmented reality, AR, or any of the mixed or virtual, can take model data and project a precision reference in the physical world. Peruse some possibilities as you immerse yourself into the new ASHRAE mechanical room here. Imagine using a simple cell phone and a positioning device to locate exactly where penetrations and attachments should be installed. Project a virtual installation onto the target zone for work results to commence. Reveal where hidden infrastructure is actually located, as long as it was installed per the model. Wearables allow us to project complete MEP layouts. Virtual insight allows us to see where work results should be performed. Oh, and by the way, for the work that has been installed, it can be verified with the 7D platform. Our third and final step moves our journey off-site. Design for manufacture and assembly, or DFMA strategies, challenge where physical work is performed. I teased you with this. But what are the benefits of decoupling work in this matter? Well, parallel work leads to shorter schedules and reduced overhead. That's a savings for people. Vertically integrated supply chains drive costs down. That's a savings for people. Automation reduces human and material waste. That's a savings for people. Precision enhances quality control and reduces rework. You get the theme. Applied correctly, this equates to enhanced economy, time, and quality. But modular requires us, I like saying modular, DFMA is hard to roll off the tongue. Modular requires us to think differently about system design. Transport logistics will influence layout and configuration. Repeatability and standardization enable production efficiency. On-site logistics, of course, determine interface, but we are only limited by what can be shipped or moved. Modular is a scalable expression that can be executed at many levels. In its simplest form, we can prefabricate basic assemblies to support on-site or off-site just-in-time flow. Facility services, your Division 20 aspects of master format, Facility services can be designed and built on racks to reduce on-site overhead clutter and laydown area. Look at this. We've got electrical conduit, we got plumbing pipe, we got ductwork, we got cable tray. All of this is configured in the shop, on the floor, in conditioned safe space, and brought out to the field and put in modules through the floor plate. Look at the savings that's delivered when we do things this way. But let's increase scale to the equipment level. Unitized skids can be built, tested, commissioned, and validated, offering complete MEP setup before they ever get on the job site. Wiring integrity can be verified. Sequences of operation can be simulated. Functional attributes can be checked off. Look at all the work that can be done outside the unfinished building. But there's more. Super skids, rooms, and floors can all be imagineered. Picture a world where central plants are delivered to the job site. It's here, it's now. But the true definition of at scale can be understood when we realize complete buildings can be modular. Pause and reflect on that a minute. Because of virtual precision in the digital world, we can now design a virtually precise building, build it completely off-site, prepare the site to receive the modular solution, and then ship the modules to the project site staged for just-in-time flow. Then assemble the modules like Lego blocks in sequence to form a complete structure. Let your takeaway on this whole DFMA or modular narrative flow something like this, intentional use of the word flow. Work results no longer need to adhere to start to finish thought. We have evolved. We have decoupled the sequential supply chain. We can build an entire building off-site. Welcome to the future. Let me do that again. Welcome to the future. A new age awaits us. Collaboration, value, digital, and off-site are changing our ecosystem. Collaboration breaks us from fragmentation. We have an opportunity to challenge what work is, how it should be approached, and where it can be performed. We can engage our workforce in activities that seek and create value. Data becomes a critical resource. Everything that unfolds in the future revolves around data. Now, I know some of you have probably already started to travel this path, but many have not. So, innovators and novices, here's a critical point to remember. Our harvest is realized when we implement technology to improve our productivity. Humans are the key. It is up to us to determine how we benefit from a connected digital world. And I can't go through a presentation without making a nod to the years 2020 through 2021. We will remember them in infamy as the period of the global pandemic, and we are witnesses to indescribable tragedies. As for our industry, supply chains have been broken, projects have ground to a halt, worker productivity has been compromised, co-location events have ceased. But if we can look past the tragic aspects of this point in time, opportunity can be found. The very tools and procedures needed to improve our harvest are being thrust upon us. We are engaging in digital collaboration to survive, but reactive measures do not resolve the ultimate question. What can I do to deliver a bountiful harvest? So here's what you should do, or better yet, should be doing now. Implement a corporate digital core. Work, workforce, and workplace must be connected. It's all about connection. Commit to a digital culture that expands appetite for risk, encourages experimentation, and invest in digital talent. And oh, by the way, expands collaboration skills. Adopt lean collaboration as a core philosophy. And finally, but not least important, connect all the stakeholders and the supply chain to expand your understanding of what is possible. Industry 4.0 and the digital age of connection are here. Our world and industry are changing dramatically by force and maturation. Buildings of the future, whether new or old, will become data-driven. The entire design, build, operate journey will evolve from silos and static points in time to dynamic real-time asset management. Are we ready? So join me. I think we can be. So join me in preparing, planting, maintaining, and delivering society's bountiful harvest. Thank you.
We do have some questions come in. As you were speaking, I was actually making a note, and then you went ahead and actually addressed it right there at the end. I was thinking about the last couple of years, and was going to ask if to hear some of your insights on what you've learned the last couple of years, and if and you went ahead and touched on 2020 and 2021. But if you had any more to add, just kind of off the cuff, basically, I guess one question is, do you think that some of the issues that you've highlighted in suggestion, remote inspection and drones, virtual, et cetera, the need and demand for that has been accelerated in the last year and a half or so?
You know, I will bring it back to a force and maturation scenario. We have relied on the digital technologies to keep us employed to design and build solutions out there. So I take my ASHRAE hat off. I'm a design build contractor, so I live in both the engineering and the construction world in one space, and we have had to rely on digital technologies to keep people working remotely at safe distance, because we've had to spread our workforce out. So it's just a huge benefit, and that's part of the force scenario, but it's kept people working. We can work in the cloud, we can virtually design and not skip a beat. As far as when it gets into the field, the technologies that are out there with the scanning, with the LiDAR, I'll try not to use manufacturers. I'm sure DOE is very similar to ASHRAE and not getting into people's names and products and features, but just being able to take the computer data and go in the field and identify exactly where through penetrations need to be cut, or where the hangars need to be installed, or where the through penetration fire stopping needs to be deployed, where the floor cuts need to be made in the building pad. All of that data, because we are designing with smart objects today, translates to the field, and it improves everybody's productivity and time to deliver. And there's no waste of doing it the wrong way or in the wrong place. It's reliable. So, you know, that kind of throws in the force and the maturation part. Our industry has evolved, and what is available to us is incredible. And a lot of us had to get a crash course on how to use it with what happened to the building industry and starting in the spring of 2020.
So along those lines, there is a concern, and somebody asked it generally, basically, how will the average building department review and approve these projects if they do not have the IT capability to do so?
I don't know how that's going to work. I would say that the ones that are getting the IT capability and can have access into the the 7D platform and the model. We are actually doing that right now also, and engaging those code officials virtually, where they can be walked through, or the owners themselves to be walked through with, here's what your building is, here's where stuff's going to be located, here's how you can maintain it. You don't have to climb all over stuff to get to a valve. Inspectors can look to see that the proper clearances are there per NEC in front of panels. There's no water lines over 463 phase gear. You kind of get the picture. I really think the penetration of this virtual world will be better in certain market sectors and facilities. So it's going to take time for penetration throughout the entire built space.
Right. Another person asked if you could explain how the concept of 3 equal suppliers fits into the proposed new paradigm for evolution of building design and construction.
That's a challenge. The speccing a product and getting 3 prices does not necessarily fall in line with the lean philosophy of finding best value. I will say, taking my ASHRAE hat off again, when we do design in that fashion in the full lean IPD process, we are engaging with the suppliers and manufacturers reps to get multiple price scenarios of, let's pick a air handling unit, for example. We will get prices from manufacturer A, B, and C to deliver a solution that has X modules in it with the right pieces and parts that are in those modules, moving this much air with this much static, and we need the motors to be like this, and we need this many fans for N+1 reliability, or whatever the programs are. And as part of the design process, we are dynamically getting that cost comparison of who's got the right price, who provides the best value, and collaboratively working with the full design team and the owners to make the selections of, this is the way we're going. That brings in a better assessment of the features that are involved with an individual solution. It's not writing the prescriptive spec at the front end. It's finding the product that serves the function best, has the right weight, has the right performance, provides the best benefit, has the right schedule for delivery. And as many of you are realizing right now, supply chain issues are horrible. We can't get fans for 4 months. Just getting pieces and parts to put stuff together is becoming a real challenge. So we vet some of that stuff in the process, where we're looking at multiple representation for products so that there's competition, if you will, but it's not done the classical figure it out, put it on paper, and then put it out to bid.
Okay. Speaking of writing specs, there's a question on building codes. How do you see the development of national and state building codes aligning with modular building?
That's a challenge right now. I know ICC is tipping their toe into that to get into that market. The modular building world is here. It's going to evolve to something even bigger than what I've shared today. You're eventually going to have an owner call up and say, I need a 10,000 ton chiller plant to fit on this piece of property, deliver it to me in 12 months. Can you do it? And it's going to get down to that. So it's still built space, whether you're doing it on a job site or you're doing it off-site, and elements that are prescriptive within the mechanical, the plumbing, the fuel gas, the building code are still applicable components. What it's opening the door to, though, is more performative scenarios. And I think you're going to see if there's a push to get prescriptive with a modular building code, those elements of performance start to become more prominent than just focusing on your insulation, on your ductwork meets 2550 flame smoke criteria. It's so much bigger than that.
Okay, we've got a kind of an academic question here, changing course a little bit. We've got someone that's evaluating the sequence of construction courses for an AE program, and they're asking for a top 10 list of the fundamentals, the must-haves that all architectural engineering students should be exposed to in an undergraduate education. You don't have to come up with a top 10 list off your head, but
wow.
Yeah.
Top 10.
Some thoughts that could be applicable here to our audience.
So I made a point in the presentation of differentiating the change from start to finish thought to collaborative thought. Flow is very important. Understanding flow, it would be one of my top criteria. And that gets into what needs to be done in the right sequence, in the right order, by the right people. And that migrates all the way back through the planning and design aspect. You got to realize with Lean IPD, design and construction are happening in parallel. You don't design the whole facility, put it on paper, and then invite people in to look at it and figure out how much it's going to cost. You're designing and building it from the very beginning, and you're providing solutions that fall within the parameters of cost, economy, and time that are available for what it is you're trying to do. So I would say the whole project delivery world, whether they're designers, engineers, or architects, or contractors, or material suppliers, there has to be more exposure to flow. There has to be more exposure to lean integrated project delivery and collaboration, and business models that get into collaborative contracting. Those would be my very top must-dos.
Okay. Looks like we're starting to come to the end of some of the questions that have been provided. If anybody else has any more questions, feel free to add them to the question pane. In the meantime, here I've put up on the screen what we have coming up ahead of us. We've got an event on October 7th, Equity and Codes, ensuring codes and energy efficient buildings address affordable housing needs. We hope you can join us for that. And then following that, we've got an event on the 21st with zoning and land use regulation. Let's see, I'll do one more check here. And I don't see any more, but feel free to forward any questions you may have. We have a help desk on the energycodes.gov website that you can ask any questions, and we can get those to Chuck to help answer, or any other questions you might have regarding building energy codes. But in the meantime, we want to extend a great big thanks to Chuck for joining us, and we hope to see you again.
It's my pleasure to be with you, Richard. Thank you very much for asking.
Great, thanks everybody. Have a good day.
This has been the National Energy Codes Conference Seminar Series hosted by the U.S. Department of Energy. Join us for a number of other important topics in building energy codes, just like today's. Participate live in our upcoming events or listen to past events on demand through our energycodes.gov training portal. There you'll find other helpful tools and resources, from education and training materials to compliance tools like our ResCheck and ComCheck software, to the latest on state code updates, to analysis of energy code impacts from energy savings to cost effectiveness, and more. Check out energycodes.gov for those and a number of other technical assistance resources from DOE, Pacific Northwest National Lab, and others. From the DOE Building Energy Codes program, we hope you learned something new about energy codes and enjoyed today's session. Thanks for being part of the conversation, and we'll see you next time.